Welcome to Carl's Corner, where leadership and sports intersect on our block. Today's conversation is one I've been thinking about for a long time, but not as a critic on the outside, but as someone who's lived the game, as a player, coach, a mentor, and a parent watching the next generation come up. Across America, the AAU circuit, it's really exploded. What started as a seasonal opportunity for added competition has become the dominant pathway for serious ball play. Weekends are filled with tournaments, calendars are packed, gyms are full, exposure is everywhere, and yet a real question hangs in the air. Are we developing better and skilled basketball players or just busier ones? And this isn't an attack on AAU. They're great programs, great coaches, real success stories. But when any system grows this fast and powerful, it deserves examination. Incentives matter, culture matters, and what we reward today shapes the game tomorrow. So in this episode, we're stepping back from the highlights, the rankings, and the noise to ask harder questions about development, decision-making, health, and what the game is teaching young players when no one is keeping score. Basketball doesn't just reveal skill, it reveals systems. And that's what we want to discuss today. Joining us today are two former stalwarts of the high school game who had memorable college careers at all of our alma mater, Iowa State University, and careers in the professional ranks in the NBA and abroad. Stevie Johnson and Marcus Fizer, welcome to the corner and thanks for joining us again.
Thank you for having us, buddy.
Glad to be here, bro.
Yeah,
Good
no
seeing
doubt.
you guys.
Yeah.
You too.
Now, we want their perspective on what's happening with the game in the 21st century, despite not having been on the circuit since the 90s. And we know that AAU didn't just grow, it became a default pathway for serious players. Weekend tournaments, exposure events, shoe circus, highlight culture, and nonstop evaluation. That growth created real positives, access, competition, opportunity, but it also introduced incentives that often pull against development. So AAU isn't all bad. The problem is what it has become dominant over. Local coaching continuity, practice time, multi-sport development, and learning how to play winning team basketball when no one is watching. And so with that, we want to just, I want Stevie and Marcus's perspective on not just the growth of the game, but the lack of growth of our players. Even now, as the all-star roster has come out and we see the dominant starters being international players and the best players in the world right now being international players. We know we still have the best players in the world in our country, but the world, as we've seen since the first Dream Team in '92, is caught up. And so I just want you guys to, first, let's talk about the rise of AAU. Why did it become the pathway? What problem did it originally solve for families and players? But what new problems did it create?
You'd go, Mark.
Well, for me, AAU was a big part of my life. My AAU coach, Michael Theus from Shreveport, Louisiana, has been around for years and years and years. He has produced pros in basketball, football, baseball. I think he even got a couple of soccer players. A couple of players even turned pro in soccer. But I always compare him to a lot of the coaches and things that I see here now here in Vegas. Vegas is what I call the new, unofficial new mecca of basketball.
The hub.
I mean, the pros, the high school players, everyone is pretty much here now. And so like it's just so much different than what it was, when I was coming up, when we all were coming up playing AAU. Like it was something that we enjoyed doing, traveling together. I had my driver's license growing up in Louisiana, 14 to 15 years old. So it was like me and my coach. He was in one van, I was in the other, packed full of kids, driving 17, 18 hours away. But just living the life as athletes that were trying to make it. There wasn't no social media. It was just all newspaper. You remember the old Bob Givens and all the rest of that. stuff
Yeah.
that was going on. It was just really the time to be alive and just really enjoy basketball. Now, oh my God, it is so much different. These kids are flying places. You got kids that are, going trips and stuff with their parents, and then the star players are flying to the destination. It is just so much that's going on that is ridiculous. That, like you said, players are guys being really developed anymore. I mean, I can remember, here coaching here in Vegas, we got players from New York or players from Texas or players from California. They ain't been to not a one practice, but they fly into where we're going to be playing at and just automatically on the roster and playing, and wondering why there's no real success. They're just trying to put them in front of, this shoe company or that shoe company or that school or whatever. And there's just a lot of bad basketball that you really, can't get in and can't understand. And when you're coming from a background of coming through it and playing it, college and then to the pros and or even in high school, like, it makes your head hurt. I have to sit down in places and not just sit up there and just watch. And I'm like, man, this is some really bad basketball. But when you do get to see like good basketball, you really try to get there and you try to enjoy it, and you understand like where that person is coming from. A lot of ex-pros like us have gotten older, have teams or have kids that are playing. You can see the dynamic. Jermaine O'Neal and Eric Snow and those type guys that I've seen a lot of guys here in Vegas bring their teams out here, and you can see the dynamics of how they teach and how they produce and how they try to change the culture. But you got a lot of them out there that's only in it for a buck. Everybody is throwing a tournament. They're thinking about the number of teams that can get in there. You playing running clock. It's 75 games a day. It's just a rat race that they really need to try to get a hold on.
And Marcus, you know better than me. I come from a really small town in Mississippi, and I remember one thing I think that is hurting them, when you came up playing AAU, you probably played with the same guys going up. We hear stories about Ron Artest, Lamar Odom, Elton Brand.
Yeah, right,
They
right.
started from little kids and they kept going. Now you'll add some players, but there's no way you can have. How are you going to have a game plan if your players is flying in to the day of the game? Like you just
Exactly.
said, like, how can you have any continuity like that? And the bigger issue is, what are they doing outside of the AU? Because that's where they got to get the skill development in. Like Marcus is saying, like, I got a chance to go see. I wish I would have called. I didn't think about it until today, and I apologize. One of the guys I played with overseas is from Detroit, Marcus. He played at a small school in Detroit. I can't think of the name right now. But I played with him in Germany. His son is one of the top point guards in the country right now. You look at me, his last name is Medlock. He's going to Michigan State. He going to play for Izzo. So they came out here in Irvine in the summer. He called me and told me they was there, and I just went on down. I hadn't seen him in years. And his son, the point guard, he was a little kid when I was playing. We were playing in Germany. He would run around the gym and hit the drum. And when we were in timeout, you'll see CJ on the court. He was just like, but he is. I saw his dad with videos teach him and just work with him, and he's one of the better players in the country. But I don't know the dynamic. I didn't get a whole lot of chance. I got to talk to him a little bit, but it was chaos. Like everything, I went down there. Parking was like $40 for me to park. Not only for me, a guest, it was for them. So I got a chance to talk to them after. What? Oh, you got to pay for parking. You got to get a place to stay. You got to play. Like, who can afford? I wouldn't have been able to afford that. My parents, there's no way. Right. Like it's just so much, but it was so much going on. I mean, it was great exposure because I saw TJ there. He didn't see me, but I came in later that day just to watch CJ. Tell me every coach you can think of was in that gym. So they got the exposure, but to watch them play, it's one-on-one.
Yep.
It is just if like I remember like when I got older and going to some of the camps to try to get to different clubs overseas. If you throw that ball to the wing, you can forget getting it back.
Right.
it's not coming back
Right.
to me. But I always been, oh, I go
Scratch the
get off the
board.
glass. You know,
Right.
I can
See?
see y'all. I know it's not coming back my way.
Right.
So I'm gonna go to the glass again. But I
Right.
just sit there and watch it, and I'm thinking, people think that, we don't have a lot of blacks in baseball anymore because of the price. I don't know how these parents are doing it.
Mhm.
I don't know how you're flying every week here and there, and that's a lot. But the biggest thing, Carl, I think, is not only is the AAU, is the development outside of AAU.
Yeah. And so let's keep this train of thought. And you've kind of both started talking about it, but is the growth really about opportunity, more access, or economics, pay to play, with sponsorships, event fees? Went to see my nephew play in Philly this summer. Now, we didn't have to pay to park, but when you got it, they expected you to get a weekend pass. And my daughter and I went, and we're being charged $90 for a weekend pass, not together,
Yes,
separate.
Yeah,
individual, right.
yeah, that's how.
So is it a pay for play, or economics, or is it about opportunity?
Yeah,
And,
that's
and
how.
I reason I ask, before you answer, the reason I ask is because we live in the social media era. So if you're good, someone's gonna see you
They're
anyway.
gonna find you, right.
So
Yeah.
they're gonna find you. But now they have to go to Vegas. They have to be in LA. Do they really to be seen if you're really good?
Well, I think personally a little bit of it comes into the economics of it all because of the whole pay for play situation. Like it's so much money that's moving within the reins of it. Like it's just a snowball effect of what you can't really stop. And for the most part, not even a lot of it is going to the kids. It's going to the allure of what you can get because of X, Y, and Z. We have Bishop Gorman here, which is the exact same thing. And I get up in there and I don't care. First of all, you're not gonna whoop me. So, if a parent can't get in, I'm gonna go to that back door and let the parent in. They know in a second. Well, call Fizer, send Fizer a text. If I see that text message, I'm going to get them because I'm not, west side of Las Vegas or north side of Las Vegas where these kids are barely struggling. I got to have, take them home and buy them food and stuff like that and gym shoes. You think they got $90, their parents and the whole family got $90 to get into the game for the weekend? It's not going to happen. But like you said, TJ and Bill Self and all the rest of them, they all migrate out here. They all come to see the next whoever, and they send a whole lot of bad basketball. They got them up. They got at the high school. You got courtside seats all the way around the, and so I think back to like Marcus Jr. used to be a high school teammate with Jalen Hardy. They played for the Mavericks. And Jaden was, I mean, could nobody touch him here in high school. Like he was just and I wondered, how, and so once DJ got into high school and Jaden was a senior, I became, assistant coach, volunteer assistant coach to help out, whatever, and everything. And I asked the high school coach that, like, I said, man, you had Jaden for 4 years, and that kid is a pro. Like, y'all ain't never even made it to the state championship game, let alone win it. He should be able to win it himself.
Right.
And this basketball, and Frog, when I tell you this basketball here in Vegas ain't, man, please. We put Wank, some other boys, man, will come through here and wipe out any high school basketball program that they have around here. It is really not on no level like that. But they act like it, and they show these kids a side of what you can have, and then they get to college or get to the pros and don't really do anything. And it's like, I'm tired of seeing that kind of basketball go on because they're really, really not preparing these kids for the next level. They bounce around this school and that school. They get 6 or 7 years in college now. Like, it is crazy ridiculous.
Yeah. And it's funny you say that because the average age last night in the national championship game, I think Indiana players was between 23 and 25 years old. I'm so happy for Indy because I never thought in my lifetime I would see Indiana win a national championship.
Mm-hmm.
But the way how easy it is for kids to jump around, I think that's a huge problem. You I think back to my time overseas. Overseas basketball is more like a farm system with baseball. Those kids have their school, but they also have their 2 hours where they go play for their club team or they practice. And they're practicing a lot of times with the senior coaches or players who's playing over there. They're learning. That's every day. That's every day. It's like a job. It's not a job, but they want to be there, but it's development. And we don't have the time. If these kids are going around everywhere, flying to different, they don't have the time to do that. And I saw it changing when I was overseas. The year we lost in the Olympics, I think maybe Argentina beat us. I saw the way the kids was practicing in the States, and I could see how the European players were practicing. And I knew we was in trouble. That's when it was cool when people don't, kids don't understand. If they saw Marcus at college, whatever his, go-to move, or Michael Jordan, he's done that move hundreds of times. You can't just do that. So all our kids back then wanted to cross over and shoot like they thought Allen Iverson shoot when he would hide his hand. That's killing you. You need to follow through. You need to do this. They don't understand. Now it's the Steph Curry effect. Everybody wants
Steph Curry. Yep.
There's not
and Harden with the step back move.
Well, yeah, it. Who knows what's traveling in my life? I don't know how you go. You can step back and take 5 steps over there, and you're good.
I seen these kids when the ball boys started getting popular, shooting like Lonzo Ball, like like you see Steph Curry or a Klay Thompson shoot. You want to shoot like Lonzo Ball? That works for him. And then when he got to the pros, they switched that. Come on, son, you right-handed. Get that ball from on the left side of your head and shoot the ball properly. But that's the mentality and the mindset that they have that they don't understand. Like I had a 6'8" big, and I'm like, man, they're telling you to shoot the 3 for what? Go to school, average a double-double, get every rebound to come off. If you go to the basket for a rebound, you're gonna get offensive rebound. Once you get that offensive rebound, what does Coach Fizer tell you every time you get the ball as offensive rebound? You tell me to shoot it, coach. Shoot it. If you didn't work, then you didn't got it. Then you shoot it. I don't care if it didn't split out to the 3-point line a half court. If you want to shoot it then, and you've worked that hard to get it, I'm going to let you shoot it. But that's not what they're caring about. They caring about, the coaches wonder, can you make the 3 and all? Ain't nobody got time for that. Like, it's not that many Jokic's around. It's not, you're going to have players that's going to be anomalies like that, but a lot is not. But you got Isaiah Stewart's and those type players that's in the NBA that don't want to do nothing but go in there and hit you in the back of the head with an elbow, get a rebound, score the ball, and run back down the field, down the court.
Yeah, we have to get the fundamentals into the game, and I'm scared, with seeing all the injuries like last year, watching the NBA, all the Achilles injury we had.
Yeah.
Is that correlated to all the ball they playing in the summer, all this traveling? We've learned so much about technology with how to take care of your body and stuff.
Sports medicine.
We all only have so many runs and jumps on our leg, and nobody know that number. So we have to get back to studying this stuff and get these kids in the gym. And to me, it's hard to watch, but I prefer to watch college. Than pros, but it's and it's the same thing in football, but yeah.
When you have the basis of I don't necessarily want to say the old school, but the basis of that kind of, that the progression takes place the way that it's supposed to, i.e. our guy Fred Hoiberg in Nebraska. To give Fred a couple of years, and he's going to look where he's at now. Now they want to still undefeated, undefeated. And I knew once. I said when Fred left Iowa State and went to Chicago, I was like, that's not what Fred should be. He should have stayed at Iowa State. He could have been Bill Self, that type of thing or whatever. Like, we love TJ. TJ is doing good or whatever, but Marcus Fizer wouldn't be at Iowa State what Fred Hoiberg would be at Iowa State as a coach. He could have set that for generations and generations, but he went that route. He bounced back, and now he's setting up precedents at Nebraska that you can see. And come on, I knew Sam and Charlie when they were little boys, babies,
Yeah,
and they definitely weren't nowhere as good as him as a player. But
yeah.
now, they're playing and having success at Nebraska with him,
Being taught how to play the game.
he's being taught how to
But
play it the right way.
let me go back to something one of you said earlier. So you have, whether it be former players or star coaches who have camps, who have AU teams, and they got hundreds of thousands of kids signing up just to play on those teams or be in those camps, knowing that they are not going to become the next Stevie, the next Marcus, but their programs are making money hand over foot. Is that, have those individuals, or let's say, one of their players has made it to the NBA and are stars now. And so they can hang their hat that we had someone that made it. And so what they're doing now, they're fleecing the parents to be on these teams, knowing that their kids are never going to play at the, like you guys did, at the top D1 level, let alone make the pros. How do we get parents to say, you know what, if you go, even if you just pay a personal trainer to work with your child and teach him the game, you will save thousands of dollars in comparison to being on this team, traveling, all the hotel costs, all of the money that goes in just for them to go to a tournament and end up 0-3 over the weekend, a couple months,
No.
every year.
The biggest
They're gonna be 0-17 over the weekend because they're gonna play
They're
20
gonna
games.
Yeah, of course.
Go ahead, Steve.
the biggest thing for me is this: whenever I would go to a camp when I was younger, to a showcase, whatever. First of all, they were usually like in June or close to the end of the summer. So my dad would make me get a job, had to work so I can pay my way to go to camp. But the biggest thing with going to camp is take what you learn there. And you got to do that stuff at home. All that stuff. That's what, I mean, the showcase camps like that, and going to the different college, whatever they teach you. And it wasn't a lot of people that could afford it. So I got better because I would go back and teach all my classmates what I learned. And we were always outside. Like, it's different now. We was always playing at some regularly go outside. Like,
Right.
it was just, that's what we wanted to do. That's the biggest thing. You can go to these camps, but you also got to have people who's teaching these kids. One of the hardest lessons to learn when you get a pro to come in there as, and I've heard Barkley talk about this, the difference when he would go to speak at white schools, and he would ask them what they wanted to be. Most of them would say doctors and lawyers. Then when he would go to these black schools, everybody wanted to be in the pros. And it may be one of you lucky enough to go that route. But you have to explain to these kids that you can use this, because I think sports is so important to teach. It taught me so much about life, so much about discipline, so much about teamwork. I think every kid need to go out there if they get a chance, be on a team. But just know, like, this may not be for you. You may not, but you can still learn something. You can learn something. I wouldn't be going spending all my money if I know I wouldn't be doing that. But you need to have people in place. I love when I watch Cantrell videos of him teaching the kids. And he's not teaching just basketball. He's teaching life lessons, stuff that they need. When Mark is talking to a kid, he's not telling them what they want to hear. He's telling them what they need. That's what you got to have. Right. It's so hard now because of how the college game is. If you piss a player off, he's gone. You're not keeping him. So you got to have people around these kids. You got to have some people who can give them the honest truth and not kill them, not derail them. If somebody tell you can't do anything, you work harder. Get the maximum potential out your ability. And if that's a JUCO, of that, whatever it is, then that's what you were supposed to have. And you use that to get you an education to do something, be a doctor, be a lawyer. We need more of those. So I definitely think they have to do the work outside of these camps, because every camp is a money grab. You're so tired. I remember when I was going to these camps around my areas and stuff, it's not enough time in the day. You're playing little games with, I'm not going to say horse, but whatever game to kill time. shooting games or whatever. You get a little bit of playing in there, but you have to take something out of it. And that was one good thing. I was a blessing to have my dad, because he was going to ask me questions. What you learned, how you do this, do that. And you better have some good answers for him, because you're not going to be able to go back. So I think they have to do more outside of that, Colin, especially like with AAU. We all came from the coaches in junior high is the most important coaches. The coaches in the youth in junior high, or by the time you get to high school, you better know what you're doing.
You better know how to play.
Right.
So if you don't have it, then they don't have the talent. It's just like being in the pros. If Marcus wasn't, one of the best players in the league, the Bulls ain't got time to teach you anything.
Right.
You better know what you're doing now. You're here. So yeah, it was. I'm still hopeful, but it's a little saddening to see where things are going.
Marcus, any thoughts?
Yeah. The one of the main differences from us and now, like even going to those type camps, like it was, maybe possibly 8 to 10 to maybe 15 teams. Now it's 450. Like you got kids out, like they writing numbers on jerseys. Like how is it this many kids in this camp?
I mean, they got 3 numbers on jerseys now. Hey,
Yeah.
It's like, how can we're gonna try to get in as many games, and all they want to do is play games, ain't teaching nothing. The referee's been there all day. They don't want to run up and down the court, blow the whistle. They getting $20 a game. It's just so much of not being taught anything. And so like when I'm, a part of a program, high school program, AAU program, that you need me to come in and run. Half the time, I'm the only one there with a whistle. Like, where y'all whistles at? and for us, like immediately in practice, when you think you're doing something right or whatever, and they blowing the whistle, stopping and stopping and controlling it and correcting it and figure out what's what before we move on. Because everybody want to swing the ball, everybody wants to jack and shoot threes, everybody. And then where the athletes at? Like I go to high school games here, and you can go for 2 or 3 months and never see a dunk. And we got 6'7", 6'8", 6'9". Like, where y'all, like, because there's no athletes. There's no athletes. Like, it's just nothing that's being shown to them. But to even go back to like with the parents and stuff, the parents, they see the social media. They see, the followings. They want their kids to be a part of that. I see all these kids leaving Bishop Gorman, going to Stanford, going to USC, and then before you know it, they end up there, Tarleton State, or Rio Grande, Texas University, somewhere on Arlington. Is like, that's probably where they should have been in the first place. But y'all want to, pub up your program, sending them out of high school to a place that they're never going to play at. Sam Mack, Iowa State. Sam Mack, his son Sebastian went to school here in Vegas, and Sebastian can play. He's nowhere near the size of Sam. What, Sam 6'6", 6'7"? I think Sebastian, if he's 6'1", maybe, but he can play. He left school and went to UCLA. Had a lot of notoriety out of high school. Went to UCLA, bumped heads with Cronin. Wasn't getting a lot of playing time, whatever. And now he's at Missouri. And I've watched a couple of games at Missouri where he hadn't played at Missouri. So I'm thinking, man, what is going on with this kid? With the talent and the ability, he was, player of the year in the state a few different times. And it's like, what is really going on that, I know Mac know how to play ball. He was a pro, can play the sport and all that different stuff. And it's like, once you send these kids to these different programs and see different coaches, they're thinking about what they can do with the kid, or their programs can do after these kids are gone. And that's the only thing that they care about. Once the kid is gone, you don't hear nothing else about it.
So, go ahead, Steve.
No, I was just going to say one thing, because it's so hard for a high school player now with how old the college guys are.
Yeah.
You have to be an elite player to go from high school to play in college, because, I think we're getting to the end of the COVID years and the 6, we're getting to the end of that. Maybe it'll change a little bit, but with NIL, a lot of people not recruiting high school guys. You
not.
have to be
You don't have to
a
recruit high
best
school
of the
kids
best,
anymore.
No.
Yeah.
right? To go out of high school and actually play because you're just going from one college to the next. That's all I want to say about that call.
Well, and to your point, with the high school players, they're still going to teams that have guys that are going to be there 2 and 3 years. So freshmen aren't playing right away. You're not getting recruited out of high school like that because this guy just transferred. He's a sophomore and transferred, already had a redshirt year, so he's already 21. He's a grown man. You coming in, you're playing, going to prime last year. You're playing against a grown man. And so it has definitely changed the recruiting, and coaches know I'm recruiting from the portal. I don't have to recruit high school kids. I got to teach the game.
Yeah. And you think about how important those 2 years are.
Yeah.
High school, getting in the college program and developing yourself as a man. Like, that's tough.
It's
to
tough.
have to go and play against those people. And one last thing I was going to say, Carl, is if you can't, you can go on YouTube and find you a great workout.
Yeah.
So a player who can get better
Tyler.
today, so much knowledge that we didn't have, you can go and find something. You want to jump higher, you can go in there and look at some video. You can get that. So you got to have some want to.
Yeah, there got to be the internal desire. So you talked a little bit about the health piece and the injury. How does overplay look? You know, both of you talked about people being hurt or how many games on the weekend. What does overplaying look like? Because there has to be a balance of really playing games. Now, we know they should be practicing more, but what does overplay really look like?
Well, they're not practicing at all, if any, and that's probably the majority of the problem. You know, they just think getting in games, but there's all kind of preparation, you know, for this sport, especially once you get to the pros. Like, it's, you know, the number of 3.5, 4 hours that you're in practice and things like that. You get tape, you get, you know, massages, you get stretched out. Then you're going out to shoot, then you're doing the practice, then you have to cool down from all of that. None of that is going on. They just jumping right out there and playing, and, you know, whatever happens, whatever happens. And then once you get around to the summertime, I'm talking about as soon as the season is over. Steve was talking about how, like, June, end of June, going into July. I'm talking about as soon as the season is over in April. 2 weeks later, these kids are traveling and going to different places, flying to different places, or traveling to go play. And there's no real structure. You don't know what the kid is going through. The kid can have an injury that he's, you know, something is wrong with his Achilles. You don't hear nothing about it because he's trying to play, going to get out there. Something happens. If it doesn't, he's putting a lackluster, you know, product out there on the floor. Now coaches making excuses as to why this went on and that went on, or they just getting overlooked or getting passed over. Like, it's just too much that's going on that is not helping because they worry about the money that they're putting in their pocket.
Stevie, are kids playing through pain because they're worried about fear of losing minutes and not being able to get back? So are these kids even playing through, as Marcus brought up, injuries? Are they playing through that pain?
That's hard because I know this. Like, when I went to saw CJ play at the tournament in Irvine, when you got all those coaches and all those people there, it'll be hard for me to sit down. You know, like, I don't know. And then they play a million games. I know in the summer, the thing you mentioned earlier, Carl, is the multi-sports is almost out of it.
It is.
You don't, Marcus just said you finish your season and you're going right. That would have been hard for me because I played baseball, basketball. Like that would have been very hard. And I probably would have lost a lot because I'm not playing. They playing year round. You know, that, like, is that help? I don't know if I don't. I'm pretty sure we're gonna get some more science on, you know, the injuries and all this, because I know, as hard as I thought I worked in high school, and I thought, you know, I would go to, I lived like a half a mile from a gravel pit where we would go and run hills, sand hills. When I got to Iowa State, I tell anybody, I didn't have legs for 4 years. I couldn't jump again until I got to Iceland. From high school, I could jump. When I got to Iceland, I started back jumping. I'm like, oh, okay.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah. So I can only imagine the practice we done. But the thing what hurt, and I'm not gonna say it hurt Marcus too, because I don't know. what hurt me was how hard we practiced in college. Even, and I had some crazy coaches overseas that, we go 2-a-days and stuff. It still wasn't what I went through there.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I put my body hard enough. So that's when I started getting all the muscle injuries.
Mm-hmm. The little five. Yep.
Your body, you have to train. Your body's a machine. You got to keep training it a certain way. You got to develop with all the science. We have to get some programs I have for these guys to do, because I don't know. I do think it's probably have some type of, effect on these kids, because they're playing so many games and they're not really taking much time off. Or you need to build your body. When are you going to do that? You can't just break it down. Where's your recovery? So
Marcus, that was going to be the comment that I asked next. Question I asked next. Stevie jumped on the specialization of players now, where they are only playing basketball or they're only playing football. Given the research linking it to increased overuse of certain body parts and injury, are we also crippling kids in that vein, where because they're playing all year round, they're never going to fully reach their potential, because they're specializing in just being a basketball player from January through December?
Yeah, I think it all comes back to the fact of how much money is being put into it, and for what sport. I coached Darnell Washington here in Vegas, and the tight end for the Steelers, and he kept coming out trying to play basketball, and this time he's 6'6", every bit of 280, and I kept telling him, son, listen, you're not a basketball player.
Play football.
You're like, you got a little skill or whatever, but you're a football player. Like Julius Peppers played college basketball and all that, but he was an all-pro defensive player for the Chicago Bears in the NFL. I'm not going to keep putting you out here on this court trying to play, because University of Georgia wants you to come there and play football. So let's focus on you playing football. Don't keep bouncing back and forth. Not really, because you're not going to have a future in basketball. You're going to have future in football. So Georgia is doing stuff for you. I know this for a fact. They're doing this, they're doing that. It's all about, if you get hurt on this basketball court, all of that's going to go away. Yeah. And it's just so much money behind it doing that. And I'm talking like these high schools here, like they paid for people, oh shit, we'll move you from, and I told them, listen, we live up in Summerlin, which is, DJ school used to be 22 miles away from where we live. And we got zone variance or whatever for him to go there. And I used to drive him 4 times a day there, and me back home to pick him up again, and then back home. And we can move you over here in Henderson and there. We live in Henderson now, but close over there when we was living in Summerlin. And we take care of him. I was like, nah, my name ain't never gonna be attached to none of that. First of all, we don't need your help in anything like that. Right. My kid will develop and be whatever he's going to be with none of that attached to it. And if you want to use it for somebody else, then go right ahead. If that's what you got to do, go right ahead. But I see and I understand it. And if it's a pair of shoes, if it's a, whatever it is, food, milk, you ain't got to worry about Junior for none of that. I know there's a lot of kids that need that and have to go through that, but it's there. And that's how you have a lot of coaches here that don't even work for the schools. They just, got Nike deal, Adidas deal, Under Armour deal, and they paying them, and they got them playing it in schools, and they coaching, and they just trying to feed players to the schools that they want them to go to.
Mm.
Man, so we're going to talk about the positionless basketball, and you both mentioned just shooting threes, just the lack of skill. So we have a coach here close to where we're at that told my son's teammates, kids on the basketball team, I don't need athletes. I want system play. And so, which is weird to me anyway, but we saw, and I go back to the days, the mid-90s, with guys like Garnett, Tracy McGrady, because these were the first dudes. You talk about moving. Garnett went from South Carolina to Chicago, and the rest is history. You look at the McGrady's, the Kobe's, who was from this area, Garnett. These guys were almost positionless players. And so has AAU, because of guys like that, shifted or accelerated the positionless player and just pace and space basketball that is creating, which causes kids to struggle. I know, Stevie, you ended up playing out of position. Marcus, you were a power forward, but you guys knew how to play inside and outside. These kids don't know how to play if they had to play outside of being a true point guard. And even now, point guards aren't even point guards. They're scoring guards. But you would have to know how to play the 1 through the 5, and not every player, but at least you had your position. Kids,
Right.
it's position. Has AAU accelerated the positionless basketball that we're seeing right now?
I think it's coming from the top, Carl. Like
Okay.
when we look at the NBA,
Mhm.
that's what they want.
Right.
So people is wondering why the best players in the world right now are European players, because the NBA is a European game.
Right.
When we
Right.
first left college and I went overseas, you knew the Americans were going to be stronger. They were going to be more physical. They were going to be. Well, they've taken all that out of the game.
Right.
When the last time we had an American that was a dominant post player? When the last time you saw a team play from the besides Edie in college play, inside out, how we were taught. So I think if we're sitting there watching, the top, this is where we want to go, right? The NBA, and nobody have a position there. I think that's why they're selling it to the kids,
True.
at a young age. And coming from a smaller town, so when we was younger, if you was tall, you were getting your butt under the basket. You had to wait. I had to work extra to work, outside because I was one of the taller guys, So I wanted to be more. So yeah, you got to take some self accountability on that. But we got to get back to teaching everything, and that's the one good thing I say about European basketball. They're not gonna let you. They're gonna make you do everything. Inside, outside, they're gonna make you learn all the positions. So that's why you get a Dirk or a Jokic who can do everything, the best passer, the best, because
Rebounder
they're
and-
teaching them post moves, they're teaching them mid range, they're teaching them everything.
Right.
Now you hear mid range shot is the worst shot in basketball.
Yeah. Okay.
Tell Kevin Durant that,
Yeah.
because he's it just makes no
He'll
sense.
score from any spot on the floor. Tell my son that yesterday.
And it's funny. The last thing I want to say is funny.
Yeah,
You said that the coach said, I'm not looking for athletes. I just saw a clip yesterday with UConn coach. Oh God, Hurley, and Gino was on there, and it was funny to see these two guys who are really old school. Because
Yes, they are.
Hurley said that I'm not. They used to look for the tough guys. They used to look for the defensive player, and they're gonna teach them a little bit of offense. He said, "No, we're just looking for the offensive guy. Now we're gonna teach." That's how much it changed. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, because that's how we was brought up. I would have never played a minute at Iowa State after they had took all the confidence if it wasn't for being tough. Like it's just, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. It was just so funny to hear them say, "Yo, we're gonna get a guy who scored now because it's all about
total
scoring."
change. That's a total 180.
Yeah.
I hear him say all the time, how do they keep getting all these fast break points? I ain't seen a top in the hole in 25 years. In 25 years. I tell them, like, I watched the video or some clips of when we played in Kansas, we beat Kansas. And I was posting, and Kentrell shot the 3. And he shot the 3, and before he saw it go in, he was pointing back to Mike to getting back while he getting the top. Yeah. And once I saw it go in, you can see me and you peeling off going down the court. Because we knew we had to get back in order to, man, they don't care about
because
none of that
Mike
no more.
Cantrell would be so pissed off if we didn't, because they couldn't leave till we got back. And now it is
they want to guard the post. They want to guard the hole.
I know he's gonna get a look. I know he's gonna get a look, so I'm trying to get back, to take the first. Whichever me and you got down there first had to take the first person down.
They're gonna use that excuse. Well, coach, I can lead the hole.
Yeah,
get back.
You better get out. You better get out because I ain't staying here all day. So and I'm pointing, but we was
That was the
trained
mentality. Yep.
You
to
were
play
trained to
basketball
play
the
the
right way
game.
because when me and you running back, we're telling them go. I got
Right.
this. Go. You get on
Right.
out. Because now you can't play like I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
so let me ask this question because this goes to the next question. So how much of today's shot profile, the deep threes, the early pull-up, is skill progression? Because they say the players are so much better versus imitation. I mean, the shot profile, you watch games. It's kind of like watching, you watch games, and it's really, you are just watching a three-point shooting contest. Fast breaks. They're passing the ball back out to the three-point line on a 3-on-1. No one's getting done for shooting threes. Now, is these better players or is this just imitation?
I think it has a lot to do with imitation. I think the how the systems were before. I don't think it necessarily it wasn't because guys couldn't do it.
Right.
Because I remember once I got to the pros or whatever and start shooting like NBA threes and it was like, we didn't know you could shoot it that well. I didn't have to shoot it that well. Like I had Mike and Kentrell and even Jamal would throw it up there every once in a while out there. Like, I mean, I didn't really have to. That had nothing to do with my shooting ability. I mean, if I didn't have to, but now they expect or want everybody to be able to do that. And I think it's the volume more of doing it versus them just being just so much better. They talk about how good of a shooter Steph is, but I tell them, listen, I had to chase his daddy off screens, and I know his dad at 6'6", 6'7" was just as a lethal shooter. He just ain't shoot as much.
Wow.
It just wasn't in the
it
game
wasn't
plan
a
of,
gap.
right. Dale wasn't coming down at half, but you don't think Dale could make, where you think Steph got it in his mind to shoot logo threes from? It had to come from somewhere.
Yeah. Well, you didn't have one guy shooting 23. I mean, think
Right.
about that. I mean, and then they're still only shooting it 6 of 20, 5 of 25. That's not even a good percentage. What are we doing?
They think they get more rebounds.
That's
They think it's more rebounds
That's
available. They're patent stacked. Guys are getting paid. The money is just so crazy now. That's why guys can stick around the league so much longer now, because you can get a better of a quality player for less money. To where if you were a better of a quality player, you probably can get more money overseas than just trying to hang around in the NBA. I was the number 4 pick, and I think I looked Zion Williamson's draft year, and from my salary from number 4 pick to the 32nd pick in the draft, the 32nd pick made what I made as number 4 pick back then. The money is just so astronomical now.
Yeah, the money is
It's
astronomical.
it is absolutely crazy. When you talk about MJ and Kobe, and people don't know the game, Juwan Howard was the first player to sign $100 million deal.
Yeah, we were talking about that before we got on.
Juwan Howard, and people don't realize how tough Juwan Howard was.
Yes.
If Juwan Howard was playing in the league right now, he'd be a $300 million man.
He's averaging 20-20.
Come on now, it is just so. He'd definitely be way better than Joel Embiid.
Yeah,
so it's like you can have so many different players. You have so many different players that stick around now. I saw what they talk about. I think Halliburton talked about McConnell. He's undrafted, been in the league 11 years, and he's gotten better and better. He was able to hang around because he can be on league minimums or whatever, or they can give him $1 million, have $2 million. That's nothing in the NBA now. He can stay around, get better and get better, and find that niche where he knows he don't have to do this, he don't have to do that. We don't have more players like Hart for the New York Knicks. Yeah. Those type players where he's going to do the dirty work. He's going to have a triple-double out of nowhere where you don't see. He's going to rebound the ball. He's going to make the shots. He's going to play defense. You got, other guys that want to shoot. How are you getting up 15 to 23 pointers? Like if I'm shooting 23 pointers, I'm going to at least make 5. So if I'm going to make 5, then
percentages are in your favor. You're going to make at least 5. That goes without question. But it's not a good percentage.
And they don't care.
You
Okay,
know,
analytics to them is what they make analytics be. And they think if you shoot more threes, there's more rebounds, more fast breaks possible.
and that's just it. Speed the game up. Yeah. It's,
Mhm. It's all about points.
all about
It's all about points.
It's funny because like when I got overseas and I was in Spain and I had this teammate who would go, I get the rebound, I can push it, I can go with it. He would never run like I want you to take a layup. I throw it. He's going for he'll dribble that ball out there and shoot a three. And then the next 10 times I get that, he said, Steve, I'm not giving it back to you. You go in there and get that layup. You ain't hit name one of these three. And you done hit one out of you killing us.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
that was their mentality back then, and that's now the NBA mentality.
Yeah.
We're gonna get more points. So you should never see a game 130 to 150 without overtime. Like
It just
what we
doesn't make
doing?
sense. Doesn't make sense.
You know, people just think it's basketball. It's football too. They done took the physicality out of football. So you got, you should be
You're
getting
passing 50 times a game now. There's 50 passes in the game.
right. And then they think people are better than Jerry Rice and people. They didn't throw the ball as much back then. For him to have the records that he's got, in the way they play. If he played this era, he would have God knows what. And that's how it is in basketball. Like it's. I love to see the barbershop talk. I saw one today. They had Steph, Kobe, MJ, Kevin Durant, LeBron. And the question was, who's going to have the ball? Who's going to have the ball at the end of the game?
In the fourth quarter, game 7. Yeah, I saw the
yeah, I saw. I'm like, dude, we could. It's a million ways to answer that question. You know, but it's just every.
Who was the players again?
It was Michael,
Durant,
Kobe,
Curry, Jordan,
Curry, KD, and LeBron. You got to get a shot up. Who gonna have the ball?
It's game 7. Yeah,
and they fought. But they kept twisting. It went from
they're gonna keep twisting.
Who's gonna have the ball? Because this guy, Michael or Kobe gonna have it. You don't want Steph to have it. Steph gonna be in the corner. Steph gonna be in the corner. You don't want LeBron. LeBron gonna make the right play. Well, you didn't say that. That wasn't
whatever that means.
Right. That wasn't the question. Who's gonna take the shot? We didn't say who's gonna take the shot. Who's gonna have the ball? So it's.
Gonna have the ball.
I'm putting the ball in Mamba hand.
But see, then they got to the analytics markers. They said, well, the last 24 seconds, Steph percentage is 40%. Kobe is 25. Michael was 50. But you don't account for what they had in them. Michael and I'm the biggest Kevin Durant fan. It is, but Michael and Kobe gonna have that ball first.
They gotta have them. It's gotta be between those two. I think Durant and Curry, all those guys are good, but you gotta put in Kobe or Jordan.
If they had Larry Bird in that, it would be hard for me to take it out of his hand because you knew what he was gonna. He was telling the slowest, the whatever.
He was telling you, I'm gonna shoot it from this spot here.
I've never seen anything like that. My dad would, if they tied the game up and stuff, because when we were coming up, it was black and white. You were black, you were the Laker fan. You were white, it was all, If they tied that game up, it could be 3 or 4 seconds left. My dad would cut TV out. He wouldn't even let it.
Yeah, because you already knew Larry Bird was going to hit the shot.
He said they done gave Bird a chance. It's over. They should have gave him a chance. And we had to read it in the paper the next day. Bird hit. You don't give him a chance. He's like, you remember, he would turn it out. He would be mad because they done threw it away. And, if you let Reggie Miller get that ball at the end of the game, nobody ever mentioned his name. Reggie was going to put it in, and he was playing against him. He was going against some dogs. So
the game, it's just different. So I want to finish on solutions and you guys' thoughts. If you could redesign youth basketball, knowing what you know now, knowing what you went through, and seeing what is happening, if you could redesign it, would you cap games, weekends, travel distance, roster sizes? What would you do?
For me, like I said, I'll just go quick, Margaret. I would make sure we're getting the fundamental developed now. I think you need to play. You need to train your body to be able to react and play. But I want to put you in situations get in your game, confidence, before I put you out there to play. Playing, I want you to just play free, make mistakes, do what we done taught. We done train your body. Like Marcus was speaking earlier, we didn't even see the ball go in. We're running back because we was trained for that. I need to train you to get, so it's second nature. You're not thinking you're playing, you're reacting. And you're reacting.
Yeah, and for me, yeah, I think it dropped off. He was having some technical difficulties, but for me, I don't think you can really stop it. Like it's gotten to the point to where this thing is snowballing, is going to keep snowballing. Unfortunately, you will want it to be better than what it is, but you're dealing with these kids. Like these kids hate to get crossed over. They're not, what Larry said. Yeah, you were there, but
Not
but you
really.
weren't there. You weren't there. They don't want to contest a jump shot because if it goes in front of them, then the crowd or their peers is making fun of them. Like that's a part of basketball. They don't want to go through none of that. So it's hard to not ride this wave that everybody is on. I definitely have to take my medication before I go up into these games because they just really have my nerves just going. And I just sit there and watch somebody make a 3-pointer. This parent yelling, boom, all in the crowd and trying to get like that ain't. And then you look up at the score, somebody's down 28-30.
Yeah.
But don't nobody care about that. They don't nobody care about. They just care about how good my kid look. It just is what it is, and there's no real development when you put in a game plan against some of these kids. Like it really don't translate into them showing what they can do and what the ability that they supposed to have. We're 5-1 against Sierra Canyon and Bronny and the rest of them when we had Hardy and the rest of them here, Frankie Collins. Tucked away somewhere and you don't hear nothing about them games in Arizona or in California or in Utah. And we were they had all of these, ex-professional athletes, kids that go to Sierra Canyon, and we just go in there and beat them and slide out of there because the different things that we were trying to show our kids to be better and how to figure X, Y, and Z out. I don't know if they was really giving them that kind of information and stuff like that there, but we found a different game plan to make them a lot better. And if you could slow that down, which you're probably not going to, NIL and everything like that you got in college now, it's not going to stop. You're going to have to try to put a cap on it somewhere, but it's not going to stop.
Because of the money they're getting, bringing in with these tournaments stuff. But it's the developmental part, Carl. You got to get developmental part back in there. And if you're playing every weekend, how can I develop you? It's hard for me to develop you on the fly. It's hard to, to practice these good habits, because once you get in the game, it's reaction. So it's hopefully we can turn it around. Hopefully we can get back, going. But it's just
selective. Yeah, it's got to be selective.
Because we sound like the old men get off our lawn.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
but they ain't playing right way.
True.
Ain't no way Marcus would have been on that post and we ain't throwing the ball. We come down there and shoot it from half court. And he would be all right.
Going in or not. I got to get some touches down here.
Jamal coming out that one drill.
Got to get some touches.
We running back in for this?
No.
No. Well, but that's even the sad part when you watch the game now. No one's even touching the ball below the free throw line.
No.
And I mean, it's literally come down and launch shots.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's bad basketball, man. Real bad.
It really is. It's bad basketball. Well,
yeah.
I want to just thank you guys for taking a few minutes to talk about AU, but just basketball in general, because you guys have seen a lot, still seeing a lot, know the game well, played at a high level internationally and nationally. And so I just want to say thank you guys for joining tonight. Did I freeze up or did one of you guys? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. it's definitely a pleasure. Everything that we came through from them early days of games and how basketball was crazy. Just the whole, I think everyone's frozen. Yeah, just the whole thing of everything that I learned early on. Me and Chad Parr, we talk all the time, social media and stuff like that, and be sending messages back and forth. And just thinking about recollecting, reminiscing on those days and the things that I think about the things that even Tony Rampton taught me. And saw a picture the other day on the bench. Old T was over there on the bench, and if you don't think T will come out there and give you some buckets,
he give you buckets.
It's just a different game. It's just
Yeah,
a
he knew
different
how to
game
play. And he was the last man on the bench. And he
knowing
knew
how to play,
Yeah.
knowing how to play. And if we had the knees and the ankles and the hips and the back, I get out there with my boys now, and when they were younger. And I had them tell him, I ain't no way he a big man. He ain't supposed to be able to shoot like that. Like, first of all, this is a high school 3-pointer. Do you know how close that is?
Yeah.
As a jump shot. It's almost a layup. But they don't understand and figure out how do I take some of this and to learn and to progress? You just think you can, and I put money on the floor. I give you 20, give you 20, and it could be $500. And at the end of the day, I'm walking home with all the money.
Taking away it all anyway.
Because you can't beat me shooting. I don't care how long you stay out here and you think, it's just not going to happen because of what I know about the game and the skill level that I have. And instead of you taking a little bit of that and to level up, you want to show that you can beat me, or these kids' mentality and mindset. You see them 5-6 years down the road, and it's like, nothing really happened, and you wonder
But
why.
they don't even understand. They don't even understand. Collectively, you have shot more shots just in your time at Iowa State than they have in their whole lifetimes already. And that's
what I was thinking. The muscle memory, how many times you've done it, that's what they're missing. The callus, and sometimes I think it's from working now, but carpal, I can't even bend my wrist.
I used to get that real bad there too.
It's just do it so much to like I can do it in the dark. Because when we were coming up, we were playing outside. Then we could see with the nets and still, out there playing.
Yeah,
it gets muscle memory. But you got to put in the time. You got to put in the hours.
Well, you guys have been great. I certainly appreciate it. I'm going to close up real quick. If there's one thing I hope that stays with you, the listener, after this conversation is this: the problem isn't talent. America has never lacked talent. The problem is alignment. When exposure outruns development, when playing replaces teaching, and when young athletes feel pressure to perform before they've been allowed to learn, the game suffers. And so do the players. AAU isn't the enemy, but unchecked, it became a mirror, reflecting what we value more than what we say we value. Real development takes time. It takes repetition. It takes correction. It takes adults who are willing to slow the game down instead of speeding kids up. And parents, coaches, trainers, programs all have to play, not just in getting players seen, but getting them ready. The future of basketball won't be determined by the number of tournaments played or followers gained. It will be shaped by whether we're brave enough to recalibrate, to reward fundamentals, protect health, teach the game, and remember why kids fell in love with basketball in the first place, like my man Marcus Hollywood, Fizer, Stevie Johnson. That's the corner I'm standing on. Thank you for joining Carl's Corner today. Peace out. Thank you, fellas.
Thank you. Appreciate it.